Hello and welcome to Beyond the Lane. My name is Mark, and we are going to talk about a potential Tottenham transfer. So, we are supposedly in negotiations with Manchester City about the signing of the attacking winger Savinho. We did try to sign him from Troyes back in the just before the 2023 season kicked off, and he ended up signing for Manchester City and then going on loan to Girona. So, that was 2 seasons ago. We have supposedly put in a bid of around 50 million euros for the player. City are wanting a wee bit more. They're aiming towards the 70 million euros. So we're looking at probably around 63, 64 million, potentially to sign the player at the top end. Knowing how shrewd a navigator we can be in the transfer market, I'd probably expect to see somewhere in the region of 55, maybe 60 for the player. 21-year-old Brazilian can play on the left or the right and has done so at both sides. Just to give you a few stats on him, when he played for Girona, when he went out on loan from City for the 23-24 season, he ended up playing 41 games, scoring 11 goals and 10 assists. And then last season, when he was at City, he ended up playing in total 48 games, 3 goals and 13 assists. Now, the stats certainly for last season in the Premier League don't look that great, certainly for Man City in terms of what you'd be looking for. But 13 assists and 3 goals is still 16. I think potentially being in a Man City team, you're going to be defended against a lot heavier. So maybe a lot of the opportunities, certainly in a lot of the videos that I've seen of him playing, he really is an attack-minded player. Gets the ball, likes to drive forward, likes to take players on, likes to cut in and have a shot at goal. So it might just have been a season where a lot of the shots maybe just weren't quite getting off. There was a lot of blocks as well by the opposing team. So potentially an attacking player, very much in the mind of Bale in comparison to those driving runs he used to do in the early days at Spurs before he sharpened up his game. So a player with a hell of a lot of potential. Plus, also actually, if you're looking at the last 2 seasons, the guy's played nearly 90 games. So, it's not as if a young player at the age of 21 hasn't gotten a lot of first team football, because he certainly has, especially in European football. So, looking at the Premier League stats for him, he ended up last season with 8 assists and 1 goal. Just in the Premier League overall, he's obviously done a little bit more than that. He actually created 46 chances, 11 of them with possible goal outcomes. So you can see on top of the assists that he's already created, there's also a lot of other work in and around that he's done. He also attempted 102 dribbles, and he also had 55 shots on goal. So the goal conversion ratio is really low. But as I say, playing against Man City, teams do tend to defend a lot deeper and a lot harder against attacking players. So there's a lot of potential. If he was to come to us, he may get a bit more of an open and free rein to run and take shots. So we're looking at somebody certainly on the wing that can provide a lot of goal threat. If you haven't seen any of the videos on him on YouTube, there is tons of them out there, and just have a watch through them. He really does like to run at them. It was very reminiscent for me looking at and watching a very young Gareth Bale coming in on the wing and doing that kind of inverted cut in and a shot at goal. Andros Townsend attempted very similar as well when he was at Spurs before he left. So there's reminiscence of players who have done this before, this excited players. One of the things that this could do, if this signing does go ahead, and it does kind of make sense for Spurs, really good young player, can play both left wing and right wing. Mostly played on the right wing for City, although while at Girona he played on the left. He is left-footed, so it certainly makes more sense to have him down that left-hand side. But then you've got to have a look at it. If we do bring in him as another attacking winger, what are we going to do with the excess of players that we seem to have that can play down those sides? Richie can play on the left, Kudus at a push. You've got Odegaard as well as Tell. So there's at least 4 players there. Certainly when you're looking at the right wing, you've also got some of those players that can shift onto that side. Plus you've got Brennan Johnson in on the mix there too. But what this could do is open up an opportunity for Kudus to play in that number 10 role and certainly do that more drive and attack in midfield role through the middle. Certainly when we've seen him since he's signed for Spurs in the 3 friendlies previously that he's played in, he is a player that likes to get the head down, get the ball at his feet and run at players. So potentially having that threat coming in on the left or the right from Savinho and then having Kudus driving through the middle, certainly until Kulusevski comes back from injury, and maybe a potential very, very late appearance from Maddison at the end of the season. It certainly would give us options. For those that have maybe got a few question marks about whether Kudus could fulfill that role, if you actually have a look back at his career before he even joined West Ham, he played as a central attacking midfielder for Ajax, and he's also done it for Ghana as well. So it's not as if we'd be throwing him in and trying something absolutely new, which is kind of what we've seen last season, the season before with Ange Postecoglou, with some of those midfield players throwing them about into different positions. And certainly we've seen that a lot with Gray, where he played all over the place in the team, certainly not in his more preferred defensive midfield role. So certainly in terms of this player, Savinho, ticks all the boxes in terms of what Spurs is about. We like attacking players. We like people that like to run at the players. We like get the ball at the feet, run at them, take them on, try and beat a man and cut in and hit a shot at goal. He can certainly provide that threat. I think all he needs is a bit more experience on his side to be able to do that. As I say, nearly 90 goals in just playing in European leagues. Last season in the Premier League with Man City, as well as Girona in the Italian league before that. So he also had his spell when he was coming through in Brazil as well. So in terms of the signing, it definitely has the potential there. Certainly when you look at the stats in the Premier League as well, it's a player that certainly, if they click and they come good, could really deliver on a lot of assists, but certainly helpful in that goal contribution, especially now that Sonny has left the team as well. We're kind of lacking a bit more threat coming down that side. Odebear and Tail certainly can provide it. But again, very young players still finding their feet at Spurs, also really just kind of finding their way in football as well. So certainly didn't look out of place when you see a lot of the highlights from last season when he was playing for City. Certainly wasn't afraid to take on players in Europe as well as in the league. So certainly a deal could be done for this one. It would definitely be a very good signing for us, especially a 21-year-old Brazil. I just hope that if we do get him, it's not going to turn into somebody with all that potential, and then we end up with another Richie on our hands. But only time will tell on that. My view is on this is a really good deal for us. Certainly could yield a lot of transfer money coming back in somewhere down the line. I guess what we have to be careful of in negotiations with City is that they don't put a sell-on clause in or a buyback option over a number of seasons, or potentially the next season or two, and then could take that player back from us for a lower value than what he probably may be worth in the future. But if a deal can be done, I think this is one that definitely shows a lot of promise and gives us a little bit more statement of intent. Still needing a centre back, could really do with another attacking midfield option as well. Maybe even a defensive midfielder in there, certainly if Gray ends up going out on loan, which I hope he doesn't do. But certainly we've got the makings of a decent squad coming into this season. Grealish is off the table, as it looks like he is going to sign for a year-long loan to Everton. That is the video. Thank you very much for watching. Drop a like on it, comments down below. Let me know what you think about this as a potential signing for Spurs, as it certainly looks like one that might actually come off, as all parties seem to be interested in making the deal happen. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.